Sometime between late June and early July of 1996, two guys were invited to the id Software offices named Gabe Newell and Mike Harrington. They wanted to license Quake for their small game company, Valve Software. They wanted to modify the code to make their own engine called Gold Source and ship their own game with it called Half-Life. Hey guys, Ion here, and I'm a huge fan of Valve and their games. I remember getting Half-Life 2 just to play Gary's mod and explore all it had to offer. I used to just no-clip around the levels and feel unsettled by the ambience, and one of the big things about that was lighting, and it's something I wanted to capture in my own indie horror game, The Sock Archive. John Romero led level design and its tools and like a bunch of other business stuff, while John Brain on Legs Carmack wrote the engine. One of the Johns had a genius idea. I'm not sure which one exactly. I think it was Romero, but don't quote me. They drove their light animations with chars, and in computer science, a char is a character. A string is a list of those chars, or in nerd talk, an array, and computers all over the world use those strings to show you the text that you're seeing on screen. So like the title of this video is a string. Now if you're tired of all that nerd talk, I'm sorry, there's going to be more of it. We're just getting started, honestly. My game has moved from a lot of engines, from Unity to Unreal, and I finally found a place to call home, and that is the Godot engine. I want to make level design and world building as fun as possible, so I'm writing tools to make that possible. And what horror game is complete without flashing lights? I will argue none. I could have used other methods like randomizing number values, but the light animations in the Source Engine games and Quake are so ingrained into the FPS genre as a whole. Going this route allows me to play off the familiarity that it brings to the player's subconscious mind, aiding in the liminality and the psychological themes of my project. This method is older than me, and I just turned 27. Even Half-Life Alyx used it, which solidifies in my mind that it is a staple, so yeah, I want that. So let's have a look at the world.qc file in Quake source code. There's a class in there that gets populated with a bunch of strings and assigns it to an index, and I don't want to have my tools rely on a bunch of numbers, so I'm going to set mine to an enumerator and call it light anim name. This allows me to use the engine's editor to select what light animation I want without modifying any code when building the game's environment. At the bottom of this, I have a custom option, and we'll get to that later. But for now, I want to link the strings shown in the world.qc file to these enumerator values. So I wrote a function that returns a string based on the light anim name we have chosen. Let's call it setLightAnimation. In this function, I have a local string variable that is empty, and then I do a switch statement using our light anim name variable and assigning the local string variable to its corresponding light animation. Doing huge switch statements like this make me feel like Yandere dev, and it's super gross, but in this use case it's perfect, and I just hit this little guy right here, and we don't have to look at its ugly face anymore. The light flicker in Quake and Source Engine games seem to cycle every 10 frames, so we need a calculation that runs with the engine's tick and modulate accordingly. Doing something like this could be useful for expensive functions that you need to run separately from everything else, but in this case, we're just going to use it to cycle through the string slowly. I added the speed modifiers just so that way you can change how fast the light animates for flexibility's sake. This next part gets a little mathy, and I'm rather rusty at it, so I'm going to explain it like I'm 5 since it's the best way I can make it digestible. We need an index variable to know where we are in the string, so if the string is MA, like that, we convert the string to a char array, and now we have our chars separated and in order. This is like us getting a bunch of alphabet toys and just laying them on the ground. The index lets us know what toy we're currently playing with, and it starts from 0, so think of the first M there being 0. We want to play with each toy for 10 seconds and then put it down and move to the next one. Every time we pick up a toy, the light changes to the number written on the toy. A being 0, and as we go up the alphabet, the written numbers gradually grow until we hit Z, which is 2. Now if we have no more toys to pick up, we just go back to the first one and then repeat the process. This code will do that by getting the current index and dividing it by how long the string is, and then getting the remainder and putting it into the K box. Symbols in computers are assigned numbers, and this is what the ASCII table is. Somebody decided that A equals 32, I don't know why, but just go with it. So we're getting the letters that we're playing with and subtracting it by 32, and putting that into the K box instead. We get the new contents of box K and then divide it by 12. I fiddled around with the number and just landed on 12 after trial and error. 12 for me was the closest I could get to the rules that we need to follow, so I was happy with it and I'm leaving it there. But if you want to fiddle with it more, there's probably better ways of doing it. We then get the new number and then we set the light's brightness to it. check your engine's documentation on how you're going to do that in your engine, but in Godot we do it this way. With this base you can build upon it and add some pretty cool things. I added a light reverser, so like the light animation gets played in reverse just by doing array.reverse and punching that stuff in there. Now, do you remember that custom option we were talking about earlier? That is used for making custom animations for the lights, and I'm just going to put it at the bottom of my set light animation function at the end of the switch statement, so that way we can set that local string variable to the custom string option, and then bam, it works. I'm going to use it to hide messages in my game as an Easter egg and see if anybody can crack like codes that I just leave around flashing around in people's faces. And here's what it looks like in game, and that's pretty much it. I plan on doing more videos like this in the future, going over things I learned while making my game and showing some theory off and how I implemented them in order to help other developers get over some hurdles. So I plan on doing a video on some like inventory pickups, like items in the world, or how I tackled the infamous stair issue in my game. So leave a comment of what you'd like to see in the next video. Alright everybody, stop procrastinating and go make your games. Ion out.